Before we start today's video, I just wanted to let you know that this game features almost entirely black backgrounds, which unfortunately means that due to the way HD video compression works, you'll probably see some strange compression artifacts and graphical anomalies throughout the video. I of course made sure that all of my footage was recorded, edited, and rendered in the highest possible lossless quality, but there isn't much I can do about the compression on YouTube's end. If you would like to learn more about how darkness is handled in HD video compression and why it looks so terrible, I recommend this excellent video by Tom Scott. I'll link it down below. So a little while back, I finally managed to complete the NES game Metroid, and with it cemented my entrance into the whole Metroidvania subgenre. I had a great time with Metroid, so much so that I was eager to play more games like it, and I figured, what's more like a Metroid game than another Metroid game? That's why today we're going to be taking a look at Metroid 2 for the Nintendo Game Boy. In Metroid 2, you once again take control of Samus Aran, an intergalactic bounty hunter employed by the Galactic Federation. I didn't actually talk about the titular Metroid much in my original video, as they were only really seen in the very ending of the game, but a key plot point from that game was that the space pirates had stolen a batch of specimens from the Galactic Federation with the intent of using them as a type of bioweapon. After the space pirates were defeated, it was determined that the Metroid were too dangerous to be left alive, so Samus was sent on a mission to the Metroid's home planet, SR-388, to basically exterminate the entire species. Once again, none of this story is ever actually told to you in-game. You'll have to read the manual if you want any of that sweet lore. It wasn't until I started writing this video that I realized how few of the games I play actually attempt to have any kind of overarching story to them. I mean, the second game's manual does arguably do a better job recapping the story than the first game's manual does at explaining it in the first place, seeing as how the original manual constantly refers to Samus as he, but it still feels nice to play a game every once in a while that doesn't feel like an entirely self-contained adventure. This actually carries over into the actual gameplay a bit. Unlike in the first game, in Metroid 2, you start out with the morph ball and the missiles already unlocked in addition to Samus's standard jump and beam. The goal of the game here is a bit different this time around. Instead of simply trying to find your way to the end, you'll also be tasked with hunting down and eliminating 39 different Metroid all throughout the planet. Despite what seems to be a pretty large objective shift, this is definitely still Metroid. I'm actually very impressed by how well this game works on the Game Boy. Metroid 2 runs just as well as the NES game, and despite what seems to me to be quite large sprites, I never had any problems with screen crunch. One of the big reveals of this game is that the classic style of Metroid that we were familiarized with in the first game is actually just the larval form in a complicated series of metamorphoses. There are 4 different stages of Metroid for you to fight, each one stronger than the last. Starting out, their base forms are more or less pushovers, going down with a measly 5 missiles, but by the end of the game, each encounter is basically a mini boss fight requiring patience, strategy, and half your missiles. Even still, actually fighting the Metroid isn't really the hard part. No, the hard part is finding them. Like Planet Zebes before it, SR-388 is basically one big maze, a labyrinth of interconnecting tunnels and secret passages under the planet's surface. If you want to have even a decent chance of navigating, you'll need a map. If you opt to find one online, which honestly I recommend you do, but you still want a bit of a purist experience, try finding a blank map of the planet's interior and filling out the various locations and landmarks you visit yourself. I think that would be awesome. Of course, the Metroid aren't the only creatures you'll have to fight. You still have a standard set of enemies to get in your way. SR-388 contains an entirely unique ecosystem, and as such doesn't reuse a single enemy from the first game, which I appreciate. The enemies actually thin out more and more as you travel deeper and deeper beneath the surface, allowing you to experience firsthand the effects the Metroid can have on even their own home planet. I'd definitely say I enjoyed the more lax approach to hostile creatures a bit more than how the first game handled it. I felt much more free to explore and take my time while I hunted down the main stars of the show, and weapon upgrades. Oh yeah, weapon upgrades. So this game introduces quite a few new ways to make Samus more powerful, as well as some returning favorites. You still have the Ice Beam and the Wave Beam from the first game, but now you can also unlock the more powerful Spazer Laser and the Plasma Beam, neither of which are as fun to use as the Wave Beam. We have some amazing upgrades to vertical mobility as well, those being the Spider Ball, which allows you to climb walls, and the Space Jump, which allows you to gain near infinite height even without platforms using correctly timed jumps. So you know what that means, no more annoying vertical sections that you can't stop falling down. Metroid 2 ditches the old password system of the first game in favor of battery-backed saves, and it is a major upgrade. No longer do you have to worry about starting at 30 health, which also greatly reduces the time spent grinding back up to full HP every time you die or decide to take a break in the late game. The only real downside is that now, instead of being able to generate a password at any time, you can only save at dedicated save stations. But if you ask me, that's a small price to pay for being able to start at full health. Once you finally manage to eliminate the first 38 Metroid, only one more remains. The Queen Metroid, who in my opinion provides a much better final boss fight than Mother Brain did in the first game. Unlike Mother Brain, it's actually possible to dodge the Queen Metroid's attacks, and there are actually multiple different strategies you can use to take her down. The only complaint I really have about this boss fight is how long it takes to climb back up to her nest every time you die, but even then, it's absolutely nothing compared to what you had to do in the first game. Once the Queen is dead, Samus finds a lone baby Metroid in her nest, which quickly imprints on Samus, believing her to be its mother. Instead of nuking it right then and there, she decides to take it with her, I guess to enroll it in bounty hunter school or something. The two of them escape together back to the planet's surface, the credits roll, and the game is over. So what do I think about Metroid 2? Metroid 2, in my opinion, manages to rise above and beyond even the quality standards set by the original, doing everything a good sequel should do and improving on the formula laid out by the first game in almost every way. Hunting down every Metroid is satisfying, the combat is fulfilling, the new character upgrades are all fantastic additions to the player's existing arsenal, and the game is just downright fun to play. Playing Metroid 2 has only made me even more hyped up to play more Metroid games, and I cannot wait to delve deeper into the franchise. I can easily recommend without reservation that you pick up Metroid 2 on the 3DS eShop if you have a 3DS eShop and are interested in the series. Although the original Game Boy version is definitely no longer the only way to play Metroid 2, but those are a set of videos for another day. Well, that's about it for Metroid 2. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know, I know at the end of every video for the past 4 months I've been saying that we're really close to 500 subscribers, but you know, this time we're like really close to 500 subscribers. So, you know, if you could just go ahead and drop a sub, that would be greatly appreciated. Be sure to follow me on social media. I'll link all that down below. Check out the video I was talking about earlier by Tom Scott. It's very fascinating, actually, and it's good to know. And I guess that's about all I've got for you. Thanks as always for watching.